InterviewsWithPower.com, your source for what makes successful people tick. Here's Jeff Stevens with your latest Interview with Power.
All right, our latest Interview with Power is with Doc Love, and Doc Love's credentials are almost too much to list, but you can check them out on our website here, but he has been writing for AskMen.com, the #1 men's website in the world since 2000, has a weekly column on there. There's 15 million readers on AskMen.com. Has a syndicated radio show syndicated through the Genesis Communications Network, the Doc Love Show, Understanding Women for Men Only, with over 14 stations, or should I say 14 stations now. Also won the Talkers Magazine Frontier 50 Award 3 years in a row. And again, just too many things to mention. Sold tens of thousands of books worldwide. Doc Love, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me on.
And Doc, all of this started with a simple question that you've posed to over 10,000 women. Why do you choose to stay with one man versus another? Maybe give us a little background on your philosophy about dating, and you come from a male perspective on it, although you're very women-friendly. And give us a sense of how you started and how much resistance you had, because what you teach is really not the norm.
Yeah, well, we have a huge problems in America today. We have all these children who's living with moms, and they fell out of love, and they got divorced from the husbands. And then you look at some guy goes out with this girl for 6 months, out of the blue she drops him, and this guy's just, he's suicidal. He can't get out of bed, he can't work, he's drinking too much Jack Daniels. And so I wonder, how is it that this woman could bring so many great feelings into your life, but when it's over, the pain you have to go through, that emptiness engulfing your stomach, you can't see straight, you don't want to eat, your whole personality changes. How is it they have all this power? And is it possible to take this power they have and always keep it on a positive side? Always keep it on the side where she is making me feel good, as opposed to dropping me. Because when she drops me, all that time this guy, the way I look at it, he wasted. He wasted a lot of time and a lot of money because he turned her off. Initially, she liked him. Now she doesn't like him. So I studied, what is it they like? What is it they dislike? And the most important question is, like you said, is why do you choose to stay with this man versus another? Why did you go out with 10 guys? The first 9 you dropped, and some of these guys are better looking than number 10. They're taller. They got more money, better cars. A couple of them are millionaires. But you went for number 10. Let's study number 10. That's what I did.
And what are some of the male strength qualities of the things that attracted women, and what are the things that you found out that, again, you don't hear in the major media, you don't hear on the talk shows, you don't hear from Hollywood? In fact, you hear a lot of those places tell you, well, just give her more candy, give her more flowers, give her more compliments, get down on one knee, beg for affection, and that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. What you have to realize, you have to have a game plan. You have to do more things right than wrong, and I list those. And what happens is the man changes his behavior, her behavior reacts differently, positively. So what we do is we take this guy and we rebuild him. That's the whole idea. First, he's been brainwashed. He's been brought up in our society to do all these things that are wrong, but the divorce rate's been 50%. And 66% of the time, she's out of love and she files. So let's keep her in love. Let's keep a father in the house. But men have to get off their egos, and they've got to think about, I've got to improve myself because I don't want to be part of that 50% divorce rate, because eventually, most guys get married.
And, of course, everything you talk about is G-rated. You never talk about sex. In fact, you always tell guys that it is from the neck up is where you're going to win or lose.
Yeah, it's between the ears. It's not the body.
Yes.
It's between the ears. And this system is not a pickup book or how to make out with women. This is about you practicing while you're dating the system. And when the keeper comes along, now you'll be able to hold her because you've been practicing on these other women.
Let's talk about the resistance that you've encountered and, for lack of a better term, the slog it was to really make this thing a success because, again, as I mentioned earlier in the interview, this is something that's away from the norm. You're
Now,
running counter.
Men have a certain problem. They don't want to go to the doctor. They go to the doctor, but they usually go to the doctor later. They should have gone earlier, most men. If they're driving along, they can have a map book in the back seat, but they won't pull over and use the map book. They'll drive around trying to figure out. That's the way some men are, all right? Well, when it comes to women, I've found this. 3% of the men understand women. 7% are pretty sharp. 90% don't have a clue. However, they have a big problem in that a lot of guys, they don't want to listen to this. Nobody's going to tell me about women, and that's his flaw. Because he knows down deep he doesn't understand them, and I see I do. But if I were teaching, how to lay carpet, how to clean a rifle, or how to drive a car with a stick, and a person's never done that. After you do it, after you're taught, you have confidence because you have product knowledge. First time you look at a computer, you're there looking at it, very intimidating. Now you get on there, and knock out those emails.
Absolutely.
And the thing is this, it's product knowledge, but the problem with men is their Achilles heel is the fact they don't understand women, 90% of them, and they won't admit it. It's like the blind man is saying, I'm not blind, when the blind man's blind. And until a guy gets over his ego, we're going to have this divorce rate because the system works. What I teach guys about manners in class and social skills and how to treat her properly and be a gentleman, if she likes the way he looks, when I train this guy, she's going to like his personality.
So it's basically the divorce rate we talk about is for the last 40 years or more, it's been 50%. Women file 2/3 of the time. So
right.
There is a real problem that guys have. And what I was driving at earlier is that when you have come up against this, first of all, you have the major media, Hollywood, all the talk shows, pretty much against you. They're giving men a different message. They're telling the real macho guys or the real wimpy guys that, yeah, you're just fine. You can just keep going along with what you're doing. And you found that it's the gentleman, the guy that is in the, and I think you had said that women in your book, you said the system, the dating dictionary, you said that women are really desiring a guy that is a combination of Mr. Sensitive and Cro-Magnon man. They need the gentleman.
Yeah, he has to be. I teach the guys to study the Cary Grant movies because this guy had manners and class. He was funny. He was clean cut. He never lost self-control. He didn't have a temper. Not like the bad boys on TV today. But there is that medium ground between the wimp and macho boy. And if you're half and half, which I trained you to do, but guys say, I don't need any help, or I don't want to hear it, or there's no way this guy knows what he's talking about, and he hasn't read the book. So I think you're going to get that with a lot of people just because they just rather not change. The self-help book industry is huge, but what about the people that never read a self-help book? They never read a self-help tape. They never go to a seminar where there's some positive speakers. What if they never do that? And I think most people are that way. So I feel the people that take this and understand this, it's a very, very select group. But I've got guys in Kazakhstan, I've got guys in Latvia, Singapore, Hong Kong. I got students all around the world that would go to bat for me anytime I asked them, I'm telling you, because they've seen the power of this. And they send me these, they're called You Changed My Life letters, which I read on the radio show. And I just got one where a guy, he's happily married. He says, I best $100 I ever spent in my life. She tells me how much I love her, and I use wit and humor. Wit. I'm a wit, a character like you taught me, Doc. I make her laugh all the time.
Well, let's talk about your success because, again, you had everything against you when you're trying, and you find that with a lot of successful people.
Yeah, but I think most people go through this. Mm-hmm. There's a show on MSNBC. It's on Sunday from 5 to 6, and it's called How I Made My Millions.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Good
show, yes.
And this guy says, I'm going to take this rifle, and it's going to shoot marshmallows, little marshmallows. Well, everybody told him it was nuts. Now he's a millionaire because all the kids like this little gun that shoots marshmallows through the air. But every guy that's on there, I notice, everybody tells him you're not going to make it. It's not just me. Everybody. Elvis, they didn't like Elvis. They told Streisand she couldn't. Her nose was too big. I mean, the people that just don't see it, and then finally, maybe it's, luck, or as they say, when the stars are aligned, things come true. But my thing is, I never gave up.
Yeah, you find that
because I knew I got this down, and I have too many guys tell. I've had two guys that wives had divorce papers, and they got the book, and I coached these guys, and we turned it.
And you find that with a lot of successful people, they just won't take no for an answer, and really everything against you. As I was saying before, you had the major media teaching people something different. You had guys who are resistant to begin with, but you just kept plugging along.
Yeah, the thing, what really saved me, I think, was the credit card system, the internet, and Ask Men, my partners in Canada.
Yeah,
I think those three things.
Yeah, because that was the time when you actually were able to reach a wider audience, and an audience where your teachings made a lot of sense to. Yeah,
because and I have a bunch of guys. They'll read 50, 60, 70, 80 articles, but they won't get the book. And I tell you, if you don't think the book is worth $20,000, mail it back, and I'll give you back your money. And it's not worth $99. It's worth $20,000. But it's on sale for $99. If you don't think so, send it back.
And you get very little returns, actually.
2%.
Which is awesome in the book sales
I can't imagine the hell that's going to be unleashed to this guy in the future when he starts playing around with some woman. This guy's going to really pay.
What are some things that personally inspire you? Again,
what personally inspired me is that I knew it.
Okay.
I know I got them down. And I'm a messenger on this. I'm not an intellectual guy. I didn't get this out of books because those books don't teach you anything. If anything, they just teach you to, buy more wine, buy more restaurants, and buy more flowers. That's what they tell you while you're getting killed.
Yeah. So the basic idea is that when a guy comes to you, he thinks he should either be, as you said before, either really macho or really weak and saying, okay, I'm going to buy you more candy, more flowers, more of this. And you teach him to be a different man. You actually teach him to be a real man, a gentleman. And as far as you going through all of this when you were, because I understand, knowing from your background, you started writing the book. You wrote the book in 1985, sold a few books a year, and then you really exploded when you got on the internet. What kept you going in those 15 years? Was it just the knowledge of, hey, I have something different?
I taught seminars for 8 years. I gave a lot of speeches to a lot of various people, and it got better and better and better. But the best part was my answering to the questions. That's why I thought it'd be great for talk radio. So
yeah, and you do that on your show now.
I ran around everywhere, and nobody knew what I was talking about. But half said it's a stupid idea. And I watched that show on MSNBC. They always tell these people. There was a guy, he had an idea for a hole on a boat. So he builds this boat in his garage, and he takes it down to the sea, and it beats everybody. And then he's tied up with this man. Now the guy's making $110 million a year, but everybody says, what do you mean you're going to make a boat in your garage that's going to beat all the other boats? And they laughed at this guy. I thought they were just picking on me. I watched this show. This was great therapy for me. Anything that's new, you're going to get beat up because they don't want to hear it, they don't want to see it, they don't want to change. And their lives aren't open. They're structured and closed. And they're losers, and they're jealous, and down deep they're envious because God forbid you make it.
So your advice to somebody listening to this, somebody that has that crazy new idea, at least the world thinks it's a crazy new idea, what would you say to them as far as not giving up and what they should be doing?
If it's your passion, you know in your heart that you're 100% right. You don't give up. You find another way, and you don't look for approval because you're not going to get it. But you got to find a way to get into that marketplace. I lucked out. I went to 150 sites, and I finally found Ask Men, and we got along. We went into business together, and they saw it. I bet everybody in America didn't see it, but some good guys in Montreal, they saw it. Rick up there, this guy's a godsend. He saved me, I'm telling you. This is the guy. Maybe I would have met somebody after that. You don't know. But he's the one who went to bat. He's a great guy.
Well, check out Doc Love on doclove.com. That's a jumping off point that will give you all the stuff we're talking about. There's really too much content to mention here. You can connect to his radio show, interviews, articles, whole bunch of stuff at doclove.com. And Doc, very much appreciative that you stopped by today.
Well, thank you for the time. And you guys out there, if a woman's ever confused you, come to doclove.com and see what all the noise is about.